everyone, Kate here with Kate's Creations. Welcome to the 5th video of the 12 Days of Christmas Craft series. So today we are going to be making a snow globe in a jar. So the things you're going to need for this project is a jar. This is just a cheap garlic jar from the local supermarket. We will need glycerine. We will need distilled water. We will need glitters in your choice of colours. Today I'm using silver, white and red. You'll need a Christmas bauble and some sort of little figurines. So today I'm going to be showing you how to pretty much turn any figurine into a Christmassy style snow globe, but you can use this for, you can use any type of figurine you want with this. Let's get started. So, you'll also need, a glue gun, oops, and extra glue sticks. Okay, so with your jar, this is an optional step, but you can paint the inside of it with enamel paint. I've already gone ahead and done that to make it with a black enamel paint. So you can go ahead and paint that if you wish. If you decide to do that, just make sure the enamel paint is dry before you move on to these next steps. So enamel paint can take anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days to dry, depending on which one you use. So you just need to check the instructions on the can or the paint that you use. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so we'll start with our lid. So you can use this technique with any sort of figurine, or if you've even got little Christmas style figurines, you can build like a little Christmas scene. What I'm going to show you today is pretty much, as mentioned earlier, how to take any sort of little figurine and make it a little bit Christmassy. So you can use a child's favourite character or something like that. Today for this tutorial, I'm going to use this cute little Dory figurine. This was just a little one out of a Kinder Surprise egg. So yeah, I'm just going to use that. Now, to make this Christmassy, what I'm going to do is take a Christmas bauble. So this is just a fairly cheap, like plastic bauble from the from a cheap shop. First thing we do is we take this little hanger thing off. Now mostly with the cheap baubles, they will just come off pretty easily. You can just pull them straight off like this. Alright, now then we're just going to glue this to the base. Now what this is going to do is actually not only give it a bit of a Christmassy feel, but also add some height, because this is actually quite a small figure, so it's just going to add a little bit of height to the snow globe as well, so we'll be able to actually see our figurine. So all we do is take our hot glue and plonk him down in the middle of the lid there. Now you can either use hot glue or epoxy resin glue. For purposes of time today, I am using hot glue because these come together pretty quickly. If you're wanting something a little bit longer lasting, then you can certainly use epoxy resin. And once again, hot glue takes a couple of minutes to dry. Epoxy resin takes, a couple of hours, couple of days, again, depending on the type of stuff you use. So you might just need to hold that in place till it dries. Mine just fell over, so just repositioning him there. Alright, so we're just going to let that dry and we will come back once that's ready. Okay, so now this one is dry. I'll show you from the side here. So we've got a little bit of height there. We're just going to glue the other little figurine, our little Dory figurine, straight onto the top there. Alright, and we let that dry. Okay, so we've got our little dory stuck onto our little bauble here. So now we're going to pop this aside and actually make the jar part of the globe. So what we're doing is we're taking a jar. Now we're going to add glycerin to this. So what glycerin does is basically just slows down the rate at which your glitter is going to fall. So when you see a snow globe, you turn it upside down, shake it around, and all the glitter sort of falls slowly to the bottom. If you just use regular water or water with nothing added to it, that's not going to have that slow effect. The glitter is just going to fall straight to the bottom. So we use a little bit of glycerin to slow that down. Now, you don't want to use a whole lot of glycerin. I mean, this is probably a what's this jar? This is probably maybe a 250 ml odd jar, something like that. So you only really want maybe a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons. You really don't need a lot of glycerin for this. So I'm just measuring that out by eye, but that's about how much I'm using. Now you can use boiled water or distilled water. The reason we want to use boiled water or distilled water instead of just plain regular tap water is because, you know, depending on the area you're in, tap water usually has little, you know, bacteria and microbes and all that sort of stuff in it. And after a while the water can go a bit grubby and dirty in this. So to, again, to make it as long lasting as possible and to stop all that, stop any sort of nasty things growing in it and ruining your snow globe, we want to use distilled water. So we just pour the distilled water into the jar like so. Now just make sure you leave a little bit of air, because what we're going to do in a moment is take the our lid with our characters glued on and stick it into the jar. So you don't want to fill the jar up too much, because as the water displaces you don't want it to go everywhere. So we give this one a quick stir. Okay, so give this one a quick stir to mix all the glitter, and I'm just using a plastic stick stirrer here. Alright, now we add the glitter. This is the fun part. So I'm going to use 3 different glitters here. I'm going to use, and put it everywhere while I do this. I'm going to use a little bit of silver glitter. Now, as far as the glitter goes, this is entirely up to you. You can have a tiny bit of glitter, you can go crazy and have a lot of glitter. Again, entirely up to you. I'm just going to pop a little bit of white glitter in there. And just give it a little bit of a Christmassy feel. We're just going to do a tiny little bit of red here as well. A little bit of red. Yeah. Alright. So once again, we grab our little stirrer and stir that through. And you can actually start to see how the glitter's not really settling straight away. It's not sort of falling through the water. That's because we've put the glycerin in there. So when you tip it upside down and shake it, it will sort of slowly float to the bottom rather than sinking straight away. Alright. So now, the fun part. Now we get to put our whole thing together. So what we now do is we take our little lid with our figures glued on here, and we just pop him in there like that. Now, and we screw the lid on. Now, depending on what type of jar you're using, if you're using a jar that's already got a seal around it, like an airtight seal, that's great. You probably won't need to do much else. If you're just using a regular jar like this, you might just want to put a little bead of glue just around the rim of the lid, just to stop everything from escaping, any water from escaping. So I'm just going to do that now. Alright, so we're going to set this aside and let it dry. Once again, just a couple of minutes with your hot glue. And now I don't usually worry too much about actually covering the top of the lid, like it's got its little white text warnings on there, but really you're going to be having it like when you flick it over, it's this bit's going to be on the bottom anyway, so you can cover this bit with paint if you want, but it's not necessary because you know you're really not going to see it. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry and we will be back shortly. Okay, so our glue is dry, so let's turn him over and see what we've got. Oh, look at that. So we now have a beautiful Christmas jar snow globe. So I'm just going to pull the camera down and show you from a slightly different angle here. Okay, so here we are from the front angle of the snow globe here. So you can sort of see most of the glitters settled on the bottom there, but if we give them a bit of a shake, all that glitter just falls around and slowly falls to the bottom. Okay, so after the glue has dried around the seal there, what we're going to do, and this is an optional step, you can just take a piece of ribbon and tie it around just to hide that little glue seal there. So I'm just going to use a pretty blue ribbon here that matches our little Dory figurine. So all you need to do is just tie. Again, if you want to make this a little bit more Christmassy specific, you can use a red ribbon or a silver ribbon, you know, whatever you like. Just going to use a little bit of a ribbon here. It's rather difficult to tie ribbons and bows on a round object. So if you're lucky enough to have a little help, you might need to get someone to hold the jar while you're doing this for you. Alright, we've just got a little bit of a ribbon there, and beautiful. Now what you can also do obviously is cut off the ends. Fix up the tails a little bit there. So use your scissors, cut like a little bit of a, cut them on a bit of an angle. Do it at the right angle to the other one, match them up. And there you go. And one tiny little bonus trick, if you have a lighter or a match, you can just very quickly sear the ends of that ribbon to stop it fraying. If you're doing this with kids though, obviously I wouldn't recommend the children using lighters. I'd recommend either an adult doing it. Okay, and here we have the final snow globe with a little bow tied around it. So like I said, the bauble just inside just gives it a little bit of a Christmassy feel. So you can make this as any of your kids' favourite characters. If you use a bigger jar, you can even use 2 baubles and 2 characters and make like a little scene. Just have a play with it, see how you go. And you give it a shake and see how all the glitter's just falling gently, not falling too quickly. It's just a really cute little craft, once again, a really nice easy one you can do with the kids too. Alright, thanks very much for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!